Four Knights of the Apocalypse Chapter 111 is out, and this was another good chapter. For a good half of it, we got some nice action scenes between Tristan and the leader of the Six Knights of Black. I also need to do a correction due to the fact that I've been calling the leader of that group Bellion because that was the name of the leader in the Prisoners of the Sky movie, and I honestly assume with the very similar looking character designs that they were just redesigned for Four Knights of the Apocalypse to make them canon. But no, in fact, his name, we'll get into in the chapter, is not Bellion, so I need to make that big correction right here at the start. Sorry about that, mainly because we just did not get his name when he was introduced. So, there's that. We also get some more stuff going on with the main cast, and not much else after that, and we get more rules to On's full power. But all that aside, if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys like the Four Knights content on my channel, and you want me to keep it going, and it motivates me to keep these videos coming for you guys. Now, let's get right into the chapter. Chapter 111 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, titled, Me Today Over Me Yesterday. And I just gotta state that this colored image of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse with the whole main group, it looks straight up like a movie poster, if I'm being honest with how it's compiled, with everybody just doing their training. I really liked it. Anyway, this chapter starts off with Io meeting with Zeldris and Gelda, talking about how Schwartz is essentially picking a fight with Tristan, and that is the name of the leader of this elite group of knights under Zeldris, which for now we'll just assume is the newer version of the Six Knights of Black for the Four Knights of the Apocalypse. Their name could be entirely different for all we know, but let's just go with that, and the guy's name is Schwartz. She goes on to say that she can understand their feelings on Tristan being here, but Tristan saved her and her friends. And Zeldris asks, do you want me to interfere? As Io just says, I don't have the power to do that at the very least. As Gelda looks over to Zeldris, as he then says, you have it wrong. Me forcing them apart wouldn't really solve anything. It would just leave both of them unconvinced and hateful. As Io was just like, but as, you know, we're like, if this goes on, this could end badly. But Zeldris just goes on to say that this is most likely the same thing between him and Meliodas from years ago. A problem that can only be solved through fighting and through those involved, which makes sense. When Meliodas and Zeldris actually got to an actual fight and they managed to fully understand each other, they're a lot closer now. So that's something I can kind of understand, and that's probably what Zeldris sees in Schwartz challenging Tristan due to everything between the demons and everyone else during the Holy War. So he probably just thought that if these two just fighting it out of their system, they might come to an understanding or something. As we see Tristan and Schwartz fighting. As their swords clash, Schwartz manages to dodge out of the way, hitting Tristan into the ground. Tristan then manages to get his footing and dodge an attack from behind from Schwartz. Schwartz then kicks Tristan in the chest, hitting them into the wall, with Shion looking on as the rest of the demons in Schwartz's gang are cheering them on. Schwartz says, that was probably 6 ribs I broke right now, as Tristan then uses his goddess magic to heal himself, and he then goes on to attack Schwartz with Arc, shocking Schwartz's men and Shion smiling. But Schwartz manages to break out of Arc and then lunges straight towards Tristan, much to Tristan's shock. Tristan manages to barely block some of the attacks that Schwartz is dealing him with this massive barrage, as he shouts out, show me what you can really do, as Tristan then activates his demon half and says, don't regret it, as he then starts doing a barrage of slashing attacks that he calls slash cannon, causing an explosion and knocking Schwartz back. But then, as the smoke dissipates, Schwartz lunges out in a full new demon form, which I like this transformation as he does look full on demonic here, as he then launches out towards Tristan and says, is that all you can muster? As he then punches Tristan in the gut, launching him into the air, throws him down, and then punches him into the ground once more, ending the fight. As Bellion says, I was excited to witness the power of a Nephilim, but I see you have no self-respect whatsoever, neither as a goddess nor a demon clan member. As Tristan is coughing on the ground, as Schwartz just continues to say, there's no way this wimp's father could beat the 10 Commandments. He must have used some underhanded trick. As Tristan struggles to get on his feet, with Shion running towards his aid, and Schwartz just says, see yourself out of the demon realm, we'll guard Sir Percival a week from now in your stead, as he walks away from Tristan, laughing. As this section of the chapter ends. Now, really quick, just want to say, Tristan got his ass handed to him. Tristan had honestly not really had a big showing like this He hasn't got his ass beat outside of the Melagallon fight and then, well, Arthur himself. So seeing this against an elite guard from Zeldris shows just how strong the demons still are. And it could show why they haven't had much run-ins with the Chaos Knights right now, as it's very possible they might be on par or at least slightly equal to some of the Chaos Knights that Arthur sends their way. Probably not as strong as the higher ranking ones, but still it shows that they can do some damage. Now Tristan didn't go full demon mode here, and I'm pretty sure we can all agree if he did, he would have definitely taken out Schwartz, but Tristan, knowing how he is, doesn't want to lose control. In the dialogue that Schwartz said here says that Tristan has no self-respect as a goddess or a demon. I honestly think it's probably because that Tristan doesn't want to choose either. He's scared of his demon powers, and he's not sure if he can live up to his mother's full-on incredibly powerful goddess powers. So he kind of feels inferior to his parents, most likely, and he hasn't fully accepted both sides of himself. And I think, like I said, that's probably where his character is going to lead into the future. He can use both at the same time from what we've seen a few times, but he hasn't like fully mastered it. It's very possible that using both at the same time kind of controls his demon half, but also keeps him tempered from going full power. And his demon side, he goes out of control, he goes in pain, and only like his father or Lancelot will have to be able to stop him. Now this wasn't full-on training as I speculated, but it's very possible that this will end up just motivating Tristan to get stronger, and maybe Zeldris will step in and help Tristan out. Because it really feels like now we're getting more into Tristan since we're in the demon realm. And I think I am not alone here when I say that Percival has kind of stolen the spotlight from Tristan in a arc that should be more focused around him. So seeing his interaction with Schwartz, I feel like we will get more Tristan, as there's a full week in story. So we might get another couple of chapters dealing with Tristan in this whole training montage arc. We then cut over to An as she wakes up in bed with Isolde and Nazianz over her, asking if she's okay, since she kind of passed out, since her magic crushed her. But it also shows that her magic might just dissipated since she fainted. As Nazianz apologizes as this is because they joined in training, but An says it's not his fault, and says that now, because of that, she has a better understanding of her magic, coming up with 5 key factors for her ability. 1, it crushes anyone who answers a question from her with a lie. 2, the pressure returns to normal once that person tells the truth. 3, the magic has the same effect on her, the caster. 4, telling more lies just adds to the crushing force. And 5, it vanishes once she passes out. So there are 5 key conditions right now for her ability, so it's nice that we're getting more ideas of how in-depth her power can be. I mean, I kind of speculated a good chunk of this, but I'm kind of glad that we got more explanations for it. And in having an ability with certain rules and limitations makes it a lot more interesting and will be very useful in battle, and will make things very much more strategic when we face off against future enemies. As Anja says that's basically all she can gather at the moment, and asks why Isolde is there. And she answers that she was out on a walk until she heard Nazianz shouting, and that she was the one that carried An back to her room. An thanks Isolde and asks why she's not by Tristan's side. Isolde says that Tristan told her that it was alright since they were originally going to go to retrieve their seized weapons, but she then solemnly smiles, saying that she's been doing nothing but think since what happened with Jade and the words he tried to leave her. As Nazianz and An do both kind of know what he was probably going to try and say, as this has been eating away at Isolde since she never got his final words, saying that she couldn't understand if it was for Prince Tristan, but why would he sacrifice himself for her? As she says, "Look at me, I couldn't even listen to and carry out what he tried to say." As Nazianz goes up to her and tries and say what Jade was trying to say to her, An stops him, shaking her head, telling him not to say anything, as Isolde is asking if Nazianz knows something. Now, I'm not sure how to feel about this. Now, I think what's going on here is An's trying to save Isolde's feelings, because if she finds out that Jade died because he loved her, that would just pile on more towards her guilt most likely, and she would only continue to blame herself, because if it weren't for her, he wouldn't have died. So I understand why An is choosing to keep this hidden from her, considering this is a big thing for An, as she doesn't like lies or keeping secrets, and that's also a huge part of her ability. So For An to just keep this a secret, she kind of understands what this is probably going to do to Isolde if she finds out about this. That and everything that just happened was still very fresh in their minds, as it was only like a few days ago. Now, when she will understand this or know what's going on, I have no clue. It'll probably happen either in this arc or in the future arc where it needs to come to light. As there is then a tapping at the door, with Nani and Lancelot walking in to check in on An, as Lancelot just tells her, "I told you to rest, not get smashed into the ground." Nazienz asks Nani how his training was going, as Nani was saying that he is doing gangbusters. He's doing very well, but An just says, "Yeah, you're lying, aren't you?" As Nani just smugly looks at her and says, "No, dummy, I'm not lying to you at all," as he then gets crushed under the force of his lie, as An's power seems to be kind of passive, as she found out that there is a sixth rule to her power, and that her ability doesn't activate unless she is the one that asks the question. So that actually works out very well and adds another good condition to her ability. I'm probably going to do a full video on An's ability at some point in the future once we get like a break or something, because I feel like this needs to be a bit more explored. Isolde then asks why Lancelot has his eyes closed, as Lancelot just says that he's playing Macduff right now, as they're not sure what he means by this, since we all know he's literally mimicking all of Percival's past opponents, and based off this, he still hasn't been able to basically have Percival beat this version of Macduff that was in Percival's head from his memories. Nazienz asks where Percival is, as Lancelot just nonchalantly points towards his left, showing Percival just crawling on the ground, all beaten and bruised up from his training with Lancelot, showing that Percival is far, far from defeating Macduff and clearing level 2. As this shocks everyone in the room at how beat up Percival is, as he asks if An is doing alright, as she's saying that he looks worse than all of them. Percival gets up and says that he can't even beat Lancelot at level 2 right now, as Nazienz asks what kind of training he's doing, with Percival asking Nazienz if he's feeling better, but Nazienz just covers his eyes with his hat and says, "I wasn't mad at you to start with." An then tells Percival that he didn't have to kill himself coming over here, but Percival just says that he was worried about her, and that's why he had to come over, which makes An blush. After all, the last chapter, basically, even she herself found out that she did kind of have a crush on Percival. Nani then starts yelling on the corner saying that somebody has to help him, but An says that it's because he lied. He has to admit that he was lying, otherwise the spell won't be lifted. Lancelot then asks if anybody has seen Gawain, and she's been gone ever since they entered the demon world. An just says that she's a free spirit, and she's sure that she's out exploring the demon realm. Lancelot says that's fine, but then is about to say something when Percival essentially interrupts him, says, "How long are you gonna be imitating Macduff?" As Lancelot says, "Until you beat level 2. So Lancelot's dedication to this whole training aspect is really good, so he's probably just gonna stick to being Macduff until Percival can actually land a blow on him, which kind of goes into the idea of how he stated that no matter what, as long as they're in the demon realm and have this time, even if he's sleeping, Percival can try and deal damage on him. As essentially the very last panel of the chapter states that the first day of this week of the Iron Reign has passed, 6 days remain, ending the chapter. So this was a really good chapter, and I like that the majority of this chapter was just action between Tristan and Schwartz, and showing how Tristan initially got a good blow in on Schwartz in his base form. The second Tristan entered his demon form, but only partially. As we saw, it was only one eye. We didn't see he was using his goddess powers at the same time, so I assume he only used a small portion of his demon power. But then Schwartz ended up turning into another transformation, I assume his true demon form, and utterly destroyed Tristan. So this is something that I wasn't fully expecting, but I am kind of happy with, because it shows that Tristan still has a lot of growing to do, and it does set things up for potentially Schwartz opening up Tristan's eyes to fully accept his demon half and get more control over it, and perhaps even fully accepting his goddess powers and that he can't be his mother. At least that's where I'm going with it, and Tristan has to become his own person, since he is essentially the only Nephilim around. So he has to just embrace who he is himself and not worry about his parents and their legacy, and worry about himself. That's where I'm kind of going with this. I like that we got more explanation on An's powers and all the conditions. I like how everyone's concerned over Isolde and how Jade's final words weren't stated and how that could potentially affect her, which is why An chooses to keep this a secret. And I like how Lancelot is full 100% committed to the Percival training routine, as to he's not gonna just quit acting like Macduff until Percival actually beats him. I'm also curious to see what they're gonna do about Gawain, because Lancelot himself is kind of concerned, because they've been gone. She's been gone ever since they entered the Demon Realm, and that's been like over a day at this point. So I feel like we're gonna have to cut back to Gawain and the Chaos Knights to see what's going on with that. I do see her escaping, but I'm not sure how that's gonna pan out. We just gotta wait and see. But what did you guys think of this chapter? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. How do you feel about the training? How do you feel about Tristan and Schwartz's fight? And what do you think is going to happen next with this training montage? I'm honestly really hoping that Zelda steps in and helps Tristan out, because I feel like that would be a natural thing to do, but that might happen towards the end of this training arc. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen with Gawain and Percival's training as well. But with all that said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make on this channel. And with all that out of the way, I hope you all have an awesome day.